This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So we're going to call the meeting of the Manhan Rail Trail Committee to order. It's around 7 o'clock on Tuesday, July 11th. And I guess we'll begin by approval of the May 30th meeting minutes, which I sent out with the agenda. Yep. David, always such a good job. You do a great job.
You did a great, you do a great job.
Really good job.
I couldn't find anything that looked fine to me, so.
I move we accept the minutes.
I second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. As far as trail updates, what did John, he said that he had done some trimming down at Coleman Road. And and there was the tree that came down and he did take care of that.
He took it? Okay.
He cut it up because.
Where was that?
I didn't know who moved.
Yeah.
Emergency notification.
Oh, it's about the road closures.
Oh,
I just got it too.
okay.
When everybody's phone goes off at once.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't. It's not letting me turn it off. That's weird.
Route 5 is.
And Fort Hill Road too. Yeah.
It's too funny.
We do that.
All right. Okay, Route 5's closed.
Okay,
All right.
duly noted.
Yeah, so Wendy, where was that tree? Was it near South Street?
It was just north of South Street,
Okay,
a little bit.
so it came down, Rich, my husband was out and he pulled it and moved it off.
Oh,
the
he's the one that
trail.
moved it off. Okay.
And then John, I assume sometime over the weekend, cut it up.
Okay.
I don't know if he just cut it up, but probably just
Pushed it over to the side.
The problem was, the DPW superintendent Greg was out last week.
Mhm.
So I guess if we find out that he is out, if something big happens, we should call
We're supposed to call the police
police
department.
department.
Yeah, the non-emergency.
Yeah, but this was, it was off the trail. It wasn't bothering, it wasn't in the way of anything.
Once it got moved.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Was it
It was
pretty?
on, it was on the trail. And everything?
It was right, I can show you the pictures right across the trail,
Mhm.
which makes me very nervous because
Yeah.
somebody could have been there.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's not the first time that's happened,
I know.
and it won't be the last.
Playing the fire.
Well, let's see, is there any update on the trail map project? We might as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
last night I realized I hadn't touched base with George in Northampton for a while. And Wendy, I copied you on
I
it.
saw it, yeah.
And so I got an answer from him today. And I'll read it to you. It says, "Hi Liz, I apologize that we've got to this point on the project. We're definitely stalled at our end because our 2 volunteer cartographers didn't work out. I also never reached out to the Easthampton gentleman you and Alexis referred us to. I currently don't have the capacity to coordinate this project, which I initially thought was more straightforward than it has become. Do you or someone on the Manhan Trail crew have the energy and time to work with Jake, the Easthampton cartographer?" I think maybe should we reach out to Jake? Because I know nobody has contacted him. I mean, he gave Alexis and Sean permission to give his email to George. And I have his email. So, but he hasn't heard back from anybody. So I keep hoping that he would be willing to step up and kind of get things moving. And if George is backing out of the project, nothing's going to happen unless somebody else takes it over.
And the other thing is maybe it's becoming apparent that there are so many layers that they want to include, a layer for this and a layer for that, for all the walking, I think it just got really complicated. Maybe
Yeah.
we need to back it down a little bit and just go
Just
for a
update it.
simple rail trail map.
Yeah, and just update whatever's changed of the trail since
Correct.
the last version and leave it alone.
And leave it at that.
So
We can't include everything.
No.
It's too complicated and none of us has the
No.
skill set or the time
Yeah,
so that would be my suggestion And then again, if Hampton wants to remove itself or be with, we'll have to check with them if they're okay with that. And should we keep them in there, or do we want to just do something for ourselves in the interim, or?
Should we reach out to Jake? Jake is the Easthampton guy.
Sure.
And should we invite him to one of our meetings and talk to him here about it and say, this is the history of the problem or the project. We're really hoping, now it is really in our lap because the Northampton person that was spearheading it is just backed away. Would he be willing to step up and see if he can, do like what you just said?
Do a
just
simple
update the
map.
basic map.
Right.
So we have something. It could include Northampton if it works out, if they're willing to provide us, the information of whatever updates they have.
So is this Jake or whatever? Is he, well, let me explain that. The last brochure that we did, my brother-in-law was the one who did the design, the layout on this. He's not a map person, but he did the graphics part of it.
Yeah.
Now he's, he's a professor, but unfortunately his college closed.
Mhm.
So he's maybe got a little more free time than he might have expected that he would. Now, I haven't really asked him, but he may have he may have the files from before.
Okay.
And if he could just get us a basic, if the map part of it is what needs to be replaced, I mean, is he able to do that?
He's a cartographer.
And maybe if Scott maybe he could take whatever he gives him and put it
And just
into,
lay it in.
and
there.
just kind of put it, not worrying about we don't have to worry about any of the ads or the dots or anything
No.
like that. It's gonna be pretty simple.
Yeah.
And I could ask Scott if he had somebody provide the maps, could he put that map into basically the same format that we had before? Do you think that
would be fine?
possible?
Or if we wanted to have it just an 8.5 by 11, I'd be fine with that, because, we just
need something out there.
we just need
Well,
something.
maybe if Jake reached out to the Northampton people, maybe they could give him some of the current files, the current versions of the files, and then he could update them. And then work with Scott to put it together into something usable.
I would say he doesn't have to come to a meeting. I would say just email him or call him up and ask him and say, this is the situation, we just need somebody to do a real simple map, an updated map.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even give him all the history, all he needs to know is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And,
I can do that.
and keep it simple, and we can, in the meantime, we can check with George. Is Northampton gonna do their own thing? Do they wanna be part of this, or do we wanna just keep it?
We could include them in the map if they can give us the files that Jake needs.
Right.
To update.
I mean, we could put Easthampton on one side, Northampton on the other side or something. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
And
that
then
would
an
be
8.5 by 11, you fold into thirds like the old fashioned brochure.
Sure. Okay. And you wanna ask? Ask
Yeah,
Scott
I'll
if he-
see if he's got any interest in doing some fairly
Okay.
simple.
Yeah.
It wouldn't,
So he would be
it would
doing
maybe
the-
mean more, if you're gonna make it go from the big map down to just a small map, it's gonna be a significant change.
That would be a
from what we
change.
had before. So, I mean, I think we kind of need to take one of those and decide what's really important and what isn't really
Right.
important.
The reason I said to make it smaller is cost control for
Yeah.
printing, because to
Right.
print the big size is
Right.
it's a lot more.
But it needs
whatever's-
to fit in the map boxes,
Correct.
whatever we do. So it's gotta
Yeah.
hold down.
We just had a trifold thing with Easthampton on one side, Northampton on the other.
Yeah.
That seems like
That's what we used to
it
do.
Yep.
I don't know if I have
Yeah.
a
we
new
could
one.
get by with that for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, our original one was,
Oh, God.
that's exactly, that was the way back.
There was less trail then.
Did I
Oh
show
my
you
God.
this last time?
Oh my
I
God.
forgot to print it.
That doesn't even look like you. Well, it doesn't look like me either, but it really doesn't
Oh,
look
I
like
know,
you.
I know. Hey,
I was like, who is that?
have a good laugh.
Mm.
We used to be young ones too.
Oh. Well, I can just send Scott a quick email just to see if he's got any interest.
okay.
Because I think at one point I had asked him and he just said he didn't have time, but
Right,
now that he was not, he's looking for another job.
yeah,
Oh, golly.
that's
So,
tough.
I wouldn't have recognized either one of you. What year was
Is it that bad? I don't know. Somebody I don't know where, somebody gave that to us.
it? It was when the tour to Manhan happened,
Oh,
so that
right.
was way before we even had a trail.
998,
Right.
9.
And I had somebody come pick up something that I sold on Facebook Marketplace that I had never met before. And he said, oh, he saw the bikes in the garage. He said, oh, are you a biker? And then he said, oh, I used to ride in some bike race in Easthampton. I said, was it the Tour de Manhan? Yeah. I said, yeah. I know all about that.
1996.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Compliments of Senator Mike Nappick. He's the
wow.
one that sent this to us. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt that. But anyway,
All right, well, let me know what he says.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
send him an email tonight.
Okay,
See
let
if
me
he-
know.
See if
I'll
he
hold
bites or
off.
not. I'm not sure, but I mean, I think because his work situation has changed.
Yeah,
He might
yeah.
be willing to
Worth asking.
take on another project. I mean, we need to pay him.
Yeah,
But
that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a huge help though, because I don't know that Jake is, has training in like the design
Yeah,
part
no,
of it.
yeah, Scott,
Just the
he
map
can do all
part.
that.
Cartography and graphic
Yeah.
designer.
Yeah, he
different
did
skill
it for the
sets.
last 2 maps, I think. I think Scott did it the last 2 maps.
Okay,
Wow.
So he definitely,
yeah,
He should
he's got
have
the
the
skills.
files.
yeah.
Maybe, we should maybe think about moving towards like just a QR code that people can scan and just.
I still think we need a paper map.
I mean, we had this discussion.
We have it
I
every
just
time.
feel like it just,
Well, we could put that on like
it's 20th century and it's now the 21st century. And I feel like,
It-
almost everybody has a phone. And
I have a phone, but I don't want to look at a map that's this big.
right, but I mean, but the other thing is I think like we have a few maps posted along the trail. And I think those are actually useful and maybe stopping places that can direct people. But I think just,
you know what those maps are though? They're brochures.
Yeah, people
Right,
take
but-
them
but-
and take them home and
Yeah.
give them to their neighbor. They share them maybe, or they
And
The
study
bike
them.
shop still want them. I was just in Competitive Edge a little while back and they want
Library.
more maps and I said, I'll definitely bring them, but we don't have any now. Cause he's right at the end of the trail.
Right.
People ask him for maps and he
Right.
doesn't have them.
Right.
Well, if we do this updated one in printing, we can get a good idea of like how quickly are the supplies being drawn down.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've used up many boxes of
We
them.
went
Somebody's
through-
obviously
we
still
went through
taking
a
them and
lot.
using them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
gone.
I
They're
think-
always gone.
it's the map industry.
I mean, sometimes I think people just take things and then they don't use them for, very long.
Maybe.
But
Even if they just use them for one visit, it's worth it.
yeah.
Well, and
I'm
they're not mutually exclusive ideas.
Oh, no, we
Mhm.
could
Right,
have a
Right,
map
we can still
online,
have a
too.
QR.
And I
code.
We could have both.
Yeah,
And the other thing I like that Northampton has that we don't is like how many miles it is to certain waypoints on the
That is
trail.
very helpful.
Wayfinding. Well, we've talked about that. That was in the
Well, I
last
think that
master plan.
there was some talk about some grant out there and not really for us, but it was the planning department had
Right.
done something. So
Yeah, we
I
should ask Jeff about that.
I don't know. That was a while ago. It seems like, I don't know what's going on with that.
But I think that would be great. Just at certain points.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Did
Direct
somebody,
people to
did
them.
anybody else get the email? There's some new state map out. They've got a map that you can zoom in to look at like
Oh,
any of the trails.
yeah, I saw that.
Did you try it? Cause I went in and I'm like, all it did was just have a little tiny line. And it was telling people like what was open and what was proposed, like rail trails, like
Right,
across
it had
the
like
state.
dash lines for the ones that are proposed.
Yeah, but it didn't, I'm like, I thought it would be something really useful.
Was it the Mass Central Rail? Was it something that Craig?
I think it was,
Delacana sent
You know,
out?
it's a
I think it was
mass.gov.
buried in an article about the East-West Trail or something, I think.
That's
It was
what
a
I'm
new
saying.
mass.gov
Oh,
something.
okay.
But
It was
I looked at it and I was like, well, I could barely get into it and it was teeny. And
Well, I
I'm
mean, you
like,
could zoom in with the plus sign.
yeah, but then there was
but
these
it-
boxes that jumped up on top of it. I'm like, I didn't think it was anything very good, but it was very
Right,
comprehensive.
good for an overview, but not
Right.
much else.
Yeah. I thought maybe that would be something like, oh, good, that this, we could use this, but it was not. It was more like showing like where trails were and like which ones were open and which ones are planned and which ones are like that kind of thing.
So it's good to know, but yeah.
But, all right, well, I'll reach out to Scott, so.
Okay, does somebody want to email Jeff about the wayfinding or? I can email him.
I'll let you do that. All right, so the maintenance planning, Wendy, I'll let you take that.
So where we are now is, Barb and I have both put our pieces, so this isn't the one that I sent to you,
Here, I have to
you know, that has the, or at least this, oh, it's on the back. Oh, never mind, it is, okay, sorry, I didn't see it on the back. So what we were, year one, year two, okay, so the issue is that, well, the latest one I sent to you, I put a lot of question marks because we don't really know how much it would cost the city or how much to budget for some of these things, because that's not our wheelhouse. We kind of pay for things as needed, but we don't have a.
Well, so a lot of these things we don't pay for at all.
Right.
So it's, to me, it was really like almost impossible to figure out how much things would be because right now we don't pay anything.
Right. So what we wanted to do is just put in our numbers for the things that we have a pretty good handle on, and then give it to Greg and John and let them put in their numbers, their estimates. And then we can all put our heads together and then have an idea, meet with the mayor. So a lot of these are just my guesses, but I think once the guys get a look at this, these are gonna change. Because if they're talking about hiring somebody to do some of these things, that is not really reflected in this. So they would have to add that somewhere. But I just wanna start. I just wanna get the ball rolling, and it's not gonna be perfect. But we gotta start somewhere, so just start the conversation.
So do you think that this is good enough to send on to them? I mean,
I think the updated one that I sent back to you with all the question marks on, I put question marks after a lot of these that I felt that needed, or maybe question mark is, maybe I should say, maybe I should just leave it blank and let them fill it in.
yeah,
If you,
that
would you
might be
rather have
better.
that?
Which
Okay.
would be almost
Like snow plowing.
yeah, which
I don't know how they would monetize, how
which I think they would probably say, we're not gonna plow. We're just gonna let it be like it is.
And then we have to deal with that and either continue doing what we're doing with volunteers or.
I mean, I almost think that kind of the only ones we really can fill in are like mowing and trash pickup and purchase of supplies and things like that. I mean, that's really all that we can maybe amenities, repairs, we can maybe put a little bit. I mean, based on, what I have here and what I can pull from past records. I mean, we don't, because we don't pay for almost a lot of this stuff.
So should we include, do you know the value of our tax write-off person's time? Because that probably should be included in here. Because she is doing some of these things and her time must have an
Yeah.
hourly value and
Yep,
how many
yeah,
hours.
they get a certain number of hours. Was it 150 hours or something like that?
And do you know what how much
I
they get?
don't know, actually.
So I would put that in there. She's a part-timer, but
I mean, she doesn't get paid.
no, I understand
Except
that,
for
but
what,
she
but
gets.
even though we did pay her for some,
But she gets,
she gets a
she
cut
gets,
on her taxes.
right, so that has value to her.
Value of hours. That's a good.
And that's
question.
only what the last 2 years that she's done that, is that
Yes.
correct?
I
So
mean,
that
and then
information
we,
should
we
be-
also paid her 150, 210, 242.
Okay, well, that should be, then that should be a
Yeah.
separate,
Yeah.
we
so I
should
mean,
list that as
I
well.
have that, but as far as putting it on any of these categories.
No, I would just put that as a
Um,
information, I don't know.
right, I think it would be
So how much did we pay her totally for the extra stuff that she did, like the work for us?
she bought gas, so we paid $954 minus 11. We probably paid her
Just a ballpark,
maybe 875, because she
$875.
probably about that.
And that was for 2022?
Her last time we paid her was December 5th.
Oh, 20.
So she used up all her senior tax workup hours, and then we kept her beyond that, and we paid her beyond.
So that was the pay beyond. So then the only thing I need is somehow
The value
some value of,
Yeah, I should be
her
able to
tax-
get that from
okay.
personnel.
Okay.
Or how they figure it, I'm not sure how they figure
Right.
it.
and just tell her it's for budget, we're trying to budget
Yeah.
and. Okay,
It's probably worth including the number of hours she worked too, because
right,
they'll be able to then equate that to what they pay hourly.
right, which is probably.
Yeah, well,
different.
actually, yeah, she is actually, her hours are kept by John Mason. So
Oh,
he should be able to just
Oh.
look and see, well, she used up all of her hours.
so the tax write-off hours, she
She used them all up.
reports to him.
Yes,
Oh,
but
okay,
so whatever she got, she used them all up
okay,
and went beyond. I think it's like 150 hours. I could be wrong.
okay. And then we'd need to know the money.
I mean, and I could look to see how many hours we paid her for. I have that.
Yeah, that would be helpful too. So the question is, do you think we need to sit down with the two of them before we go to the mayor? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
I think we do.
At least have them look at this.
Yeah,
The only problem is Greg is very busy right now.
sure.
There are so many projects going on, and he's just back from vacation, and there's several things that I want to talk to him about. I mean, the tree survey, we have no
Right.
tree warden, who's the surface, I mean, there's a lot of things that I was supposed to ask him about
Right.
that he didn't get to me before his vacation, and I just know how busy he is, and I really hate to, bother him.
He's good about responding though.
Well, he kind of is, but he hadn't responded because I wrote him all those
Oh, you did.
things, and I haven't, and I know he got really backed up, and everybody deserves a vacation.
Sure, of
And
course.
I just hate to keep bothering him
Yeah.
about stuff.
Well, I think if we just try to get on their calendar, because getting the two of them and two of us at one place at one time is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I think if we start
I think
throwing
we
out
need
some
to
dates.
make sure we know what they need to do.
Or say,
Well, I
is
think
this
we do.
sufficient? What should we be including that we're not including?
Right,
What needs a little bit more detail?
We're giving them everything we have, so now it's time for them to give us their input. And
Do we include Jeff on this too?
I would invite him to the meeting,
Okay.
although, yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. He seemed pretty involved or interested last time when he was here.
Okay.
I mean, I would just send an email to both of them and say, okay, we've got our stuff, we're ready for your input. And we can send them this, they can do it online, and then we can come together and talk about
Do you
it.
wanna like remove some numbers and just
Sure.
put blanks?
Yes,
I mean, cause really there's only, okay, I can give a number for trash. And,
like the clearing and tree trimming, how much have we paid for, like, Chuck Shea, we've had several times.
well,
How
we paid
much?
Northern Tree Service this year, $3,360.
Okay, and in the past, we've had Chuck Shea or somebody else.
Yeah, but
So,
it hasn't been consistent, you know, it's just been here and there.
right. But I think we know that there are more trees that need to be removed, so that's why I just,
Yeah. I think
put in
that's
10,000.
the time to ask them also is like that tree survey and the pavement survey. I think they're, as far as looking at the budget and prioritizing and knowing what we have out there, those are pretty important.
those are the two big ones. Yeah, so do you want me to just leave these blank, and let them
Yeah,
come
I
up with a
think
number?
so.
Okay, I'm fine with that, totally fine with that.
Okay, mowing, I can do that.
Right. Sweeping and leaf blowing, I was thinking of, again, our tax write-off person.
Yep.
Does that seem reasonable, $1,000 a year?
I mean, that's hard because if we continue to have volunteers do it, there's nothing.
Okay, so maybe that should be a question mark then.
That's why on the page on the front, I said, who's doing it?
Oh, who's doing it now?
Like,
Yeah,
who's doing it now? So,
right.
so that's why it's confusing to me, like, why put a number on it?
Because what we're doing is we're moving away from relying on the volunteers to do it, and we're moving towards a more,
So thinking about when I do my like event budgets at work, I would, if I were them, I would want to see what are the concrete numbers you do know, whether that's dollars, like what have we spent over the course of a year, over the course of 5 years, whatever. And I would want to know hours. So if there are places where we know dollars, I would put dollars. If there are places where we have hours, the senior tax workout person
Right.
worked 150 hours, plus we paid this many, so we can estimate that over the course of the year, she spent X number of hours.
right.
Those are the kinds of details that I think are going to be more valuable than if we're trying to like guesstimate.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right.
So why don't we just, like snow plowing, I put a question mark, sweeping, question mark, mowing, question, I mean, those are all things that we want input from them about, again, inspection, update, and upkeep of the trail marking, the central lines.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what we pay the guy to,
At the last time we did it, which was probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
okay, so do you think that
I mean, I
number
would
is?
have to look that up.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I can put them, we can tell them that last time we had it done, it cost us.
and it was the guy who has his own business on the
Right,
side.
okay.
I almost feel we need a small amount of money, like to hire one of these planning groups to figure this all out for all of us.
Yeah.
Because Greg and John have limited time and competing interests. You know, obviously we're limited in what we can do. You know, I mean, they do this all the time in town. You know, Jeff gets a grant for something and they kind of assess like what's needed and what's it going to cost. And like, so you have all that concrete data. And I think right now we're in a situation where like, I mean, Greg and John showed sort of I think they know kind of like, well, what it costs to like deal with things that happen to streets. So it's not going to be a lot different for asphalt, but it's kind of like in terms of being able to regularly monitor and look at sort of the whole big picture, it's going to be time consuming. And I don't think they want to do it because they haven't been given any extra staff to do it. So
But
I wonder if we have more concrete data that we can then build upon so that we're not kind of like going back and forth and having like all these gaps, you know, that would be maybe a more logical first step. because I think we know kind of what the needs of the trail are. We don't know what it's gonna cost because it's gonna be variable. It's gonna change from
Right.
year to year.
Right,
We don't
that's
know
true.
what kind of tree damage there's gonna be from one year to the next.
Mhm.
I think we need people who have more expertise than any of us, who can devote the necessary time to kind of come up with something. Because it's kind of like the decision was made, okay, well, you're under the Parks Department, but then what? What does
Right.
that mean? And what concretely does that mean in terms of like how the different groups interface and who does what? And so, for budget planning, unless it's specific enough, I'm not sure how helpful it is.
Well, I think they would be able to tell us how much they would budget for tree work along the tree. I think that because they must do tree work all the time, and how much do they do themselves? How much do they hire out for? I mean, we can tell them what we have paid, but they also do a lot of it too. They do it for us. The DPW
Yeah.
comes and.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think the tree budget has always been hard to predict every year because you don't know what storm damage there's
Right.
gonna be. You don't.
Right,
We
but they're
don't
used to
know.
that. They're used to that because that's the way it is around town.
Yeah, but if we're looking to really see what's out there, we'd have to have a survey done. We'd have to go out.
Right.
And even then, there's
Right.
gonna be stuff that comes down that we don't expect.
Right, no, I agree. We
And
need a
then-
survey.
Is this something Conway School could help with?
I don't know. They're a design. It says Conway School of Design, right?
I think that the Public Works and Parks, and, everybody is willing to do their part, and the problem is everybody's busy and there's not enough people, and I think it's gonna be hard to, when it really happens, to know, like, who's supposed to do what and who's gonna pay for it, and I don't know, I think that there's willingness there, but how we actually do it is boggling my mind.
Yeah, but,
Because there isn't sort of a formal organizational plan that delineates roles and sort of, speaking of maps, that provides a map kind of forward so that everybody kind of knows who does what and has a better idea of what to expect.
I think those two guys they'll have to figure that out. Who's gonna handle the trees, who's gonna handle this, and we'll do our part. I mean, it's gonna might be a little messy for the first few, until we get things figured out, but you can't let that stop you from moving forward.
Yeah.
And then there would be the question of sort of what the mayor will want or need
Right.
in terms of sort of, okay, if I'm gonna
A plan.
propose adding something to the budget, like, do I have enough data to kind of
Right,
do that?
right. And again, these guys do budgets and the mayor all the
Right.
time, so they're gonna know
Right,
what we
which is
need.
like, they're better equipped than we are.
Exactly.
And not to
That's why
say
I'm
that
gonna
we
go
are
to them.
not gonna financially
Right.
continue to support this. Even after we're done, if we can just have somebody who can once a year send out dues. We get like $4,000 in dues, and I've gotten 2 out of the 3 mill owners have paid their $1,000 this year. I only have 1 left to come in, so there's that. There's donations. We've got 38, almost $4,000 in memory of Peter.
Wow.
So it's not like it will all, as long as, like when we're not here, like if somebody can still keep the Friends going.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's
We've got
one good
that
thing.
new blood. Just sitting right across the table from us.
But so that's like 4, 5, 6, we could probably, we'll still contribute.
But it would be nice if those funds could be used more for kind of amenities rather than sort of basic needs. Like if a tree
Yeah.
falls, like,
Well, yeah.
is that really what people are donating their money for? Or are they expecting
Well-
sort of some,
Well, I think amenities, I think maintenance of the trail is.
Yeah,
like,
we've
the
always been
upkeep.
pretty clear about maintenance and.
You don't buy it just to pay for benches and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, to keep the trail looking nice.
Right.
So,
But that's different from like clearing trees
Right.
and doing asphalt, which
right,
feels
things
more
like
the
that
city should-
seems like city, they
Right.
should, like, that should be out of the city.
Right.
But I think it's just important for when we go to the mayor to say like, we're not expecting the city to pay, we'll still contribute financially. It's just somebody else will be the contact person. And if you want to continue to contract out the mowing and stuff like that, then, you know, somebody's going to have to pay the bill
Right.
when it comes in.
Right.
And, you know, probably won't be me. Or the trash. If the city wants to take it over, then you will save yourself $4,000.
Right.
That could be used for tree work.
Right.
You know?
Did they take over the trash for the nearby ones? I thought they were gonna do that.
I think they just removed the two
They
trash
just
stands
removed
from Goslin and.
Goslin and Route 5,
right?
Right, I know that, but we're still using Riverside for some reason I thought DPW was,
Yeah, no. I mean, I have actually had them empty it at least once when it was really overflowing. Or no, maybe, no, what happened that time was that Riverside couldn't empty it on their normal day, and I called them and they did get out and empty it.
Okay, so,
Okay.
you know, we have to start somewhere, so, I'll rework it. I'll take a lot of these numbers out. Maybe I'll redo the intro to, well, the intro is just for the mayor. That's not for them.
Well, I think
So-
this is good for them to have.
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah.
is good right now, but,
I mean, the inspection, repair, culverts, that's something they know. So that's, I'm gonna take that out.
well, they should be doing that, and I'm not sure they are.
Right. Monitoring the brochure boxes, stuff. You know, I don't know, maybe that should be something that the Friends is in charge of or something, if you want.
No, I think that would
You wanna
be-
leave that in
I would
there?
think, yeah, that's something that senior tech work off, or if there
Okay.
is an employee, that's part of their job.
All right, but I'm gonna, the $500 was just out of my head, you know, so I'm gonna just put a question mark there. I'm gonna remove. But, the purchase of supplies for the dog, that was your number, right? The 300?
Yep.
So I'll leave that there.
Yep.
Okay. Erosion control, I'm gonna take that number out, because I have no idea. Sign inspection and removal of unauthorized signs.
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
just volunteer. They're
Yeah,
doing
so that would be a question mark.
the purchase of newer replacement signage.
Right, so that is $1,000. Do
I
you
mean,
think that's reasonable
I think
for
so.
a year?
Yeah,
All right, year 5, and again, they might move some of these up to year 1 and but again. Amenities, inspections and repairs. I mean, it seems like we're repairing fences, we're repairing benches, maybe that's low, $1,000, I don't know. But a lot of that,
Yeah.
again, was
Depends
on the
volunteer.
repair.
yeah,
It
the
was-
mural, I have got to get going on that.
Yeah, the mural could, we have all new letters done. That
I
could
know, I've
be-
gotta look into getting the material, and then we've gotta put the word out to get somebody to help with that.
Yeah,
I keep
because the
forgetting.
weather, you wanna do it in the nice weather, no?
I did
Sub-zero.
find a source for the color for it, and I just haven't done anything.
That was
And
Westfield.
Rich doesn't wanna do the letters, so
Yeah.
we need to put it out there to the world to
Right,
see if there's somebody out there with a jigsaw that can do some letters.
that's willing to,
I mean, you'd think in this town there'd be somebody.
right.
How many artists in that new building over there?
Well, we have the list for the Friends. Can we put out
Oh, well,
An
we can do
email?
it there, we can do it on Facebook, we can do it wider on other group pages too.
okay,
But first I need to look into the material.
okay,
I guess I can do it kind of both at the same time.
yeah,
It just seems like there should be somebody. I shouldn't have to rely on twisting my husband's arm.
no, it shouldn't fall on you guys all the time. So do you think that estimate of $1,000 a year is too low? Again, it might be 2,000 one year and zero the next, it's
Yeah.
gonna be very.
I think it's okay.
Okay. And the landscape. I don't know, how often do we redo the landscaping? Not very
Not
often.
very often, yeah.
So that's.
I mean, I
kind of
wonder if some of these, I wonder if it's good to put them in year, because, I mean, some of these things are just, it seems like a bunch of these things can be done by like a senior tax work-off person, or if there will be a part-time, some, seasonal employee,
Right,
a bunch of these things will be under, that.
right, and that's,
Inspection or.
that's fine, we can, I think we made that clear that we'll provide as much support as we can.
Yeah. And I think you've already put in here the kinds of tasks that the senior tax worker, the senior
Right.
tax worker is already doing.
Right.
So from there, they can
And John knows.
gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have to
and-
say, we've been lucky that Terry has been
She's been
interested
really
in doing
good.
this, because if she didn't do it, I don't know if there, of any other person that really would be interested in this job. There, I mean,
It's physically
we've had-
demanding.
It's physically demanding, and it's, I mean, there's lots of gardening work that we could have a senior tax work-off person do, and they haven't been able to find anybody.
Oh, wow.
Except there is a new worker. Do you know Beth Tiffany? She's on the pond committee. So she's a new senior. She actually did all of the weeding around the Council on Aging. But she said she was getting really tired of weeding.
Yeah,
It's hard work.
it is. It's bending over.
But,
Well, all right, I'll redo it and, I'll send it to you and then, do you want to be the point person or do you want me to be the point person to send this out to? Or do you want me to just do it and send it to the three of you? And
That
say,
sounds good.
okay,
yeah.
All right.
And why don't you include Jeff in that too?
and Jeff, I will CC Jeff.
Yep.
And say, this is just a starting point and.
Yep.
Okay, see where it goes. All right, thank you.
All right. Speaking of that, so Liz has been sending out thank you notes to all of the people that we know of, names of, who've donated for Peter. He himself gave $1,000 to the Friends in his will, so that was very nice.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of cash donations that Kathy has dropped off, and she thanked those people.
Okay.
Okay, because she said she knew who they were, and she took care of thank yous on
Okay.
that. So there's been $705 just cash,
Wow.
donated. So I mean, I don't think we need to decide right this minute, but it would be nice to do something for Peter. And I mean,
What's the total?
$3,810. That's as of today.
I think Peter would like us to use one of those benches in the, in the shed.
Yeah.
Because he was all about recycling and he wanted those, we all wanted those benches that.
Well, there's two of them actually.
There's two of them. So they're both the small ones? Or
No, they're big
They're the
ones.
big ones.
Are those the ones that we've had for
From Burger
the
King.
Burger King ones?
No, they were the ones that were up by the mural, and we took them out because the kids were hanging out.
Oh, I thought they were the Burger
No,
King.
they were bought.
Oh,
They're
okay.
nice benches.
Oh, so we don't have to refinish them.
No, they're
better.
all perfect, ready to go in.
I think that's the perfect solution.
Then
But we
let's
have
do
to
that.
figure out where they would go and where they would not be a
Attractive
gathering
nuisance.
spot.
Well, do we want to include John and Greg in that conversation? Being that they're gonna be hopefully taking over the maintenance, we want to make sure that mowing.
Maybe. And we also have to
Gotta be
figure that we have to have a pad made.
Right.
And so it can't, I'm like, if we wanted to put one down by the Oxbow or something, how would we get it there?
Right.
That's a nice spot. I've often thought that would be a nice spot.
Overlooking
Yeah.
the Oxbow. Would be very nice.
I don't know, where would you put it though? Because there's fencing.
That spot where that past comic trail,
Yeah.
like around there would maybe,
Yeah,
isn't that near the expo?
it is yeah.
And that,
We'd
isn't
have
that
to go
also
and
the
look
other
at
way
it.
if you want to go to East Street and go to that other trail that goes up the mountain?
The Mount Tom
Yeah.
Trail. That's an idea.
Mhm.
But yeah, getting a truck in there.
And weren't we talking at one point about putting a bench where you would turn off to go over to Arcadia
Yes.
and maybe turning it so that you had the view of the mountain?
Yep, and that's another great idea.
So if we have two, maybe one in each of those. bunches.
Yeah, if we can afford.
I think Peter would like
Like how
that.
much
Like
the
where,
concrete.
where down?
It was right near the sign. There's we had a meeting there. Remember, we scoped it out.
There's a kiosk there, you
Because
know, one of
that
those.
kiosk has been vandalized.
I know,
So it's in
quite a bit.
horrible shape.
I'm just saying where it is.
Yeah.
The
Where
one
the
on
kiosk
Lovefield?
is, and where
Yes.
you cut across that grassy strip and
Yeah.
head over to Arcadia.
You know why,
It'd have a nice
you
view
know,
of the
one
mountain.
reason why that
You can
area
see it.
would, I know. One reason why that area would be a nice spot for a bench for Peter is because
His family
his family
is
is,
from there. They live there.
well, Kathy's
Kathy's
family
family.
Oh,
is like
okay.
from right there.
They
Oh, I
live
didn't know
like
that.
diagonally across
Yeah.
the street.
That would be very
Right.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay, well, let's look at those
And
two
maybe
spots.
they would wanna plant some things. or something.
there's
Yeah,
already such like beautiful wildflowers on both
Yeah.
sides of the
We'd
trail.
have to
right
make
there.
sure it doesn't get in the way of like mowing.
Sure.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could have a spot right along there, like maybe like where that is, but a little further down, and if we could have like a little brick, like the benches put into like a
Mhm.
brick, like George maybe,
Right.
talk to George and he could, with the money, maybe we could make a little, like two benches and have a,
Yeah, have
Have
them
a
maybe at a little, well, no, that could be dangerous.
no, I mean, somehow
Have
like
an
do a
angle.
little semicircle like off the trail that the benches could like be looking kind of towards that, towards the mountain, maybe.
Yeah,
That might be a nice
yeah,
spot,
I think
maybe with
either
a-
one of those ideas is great.
have it like that. We could get a rock with a thing in it.
Yeah, a little,
I don't know.
yes,
Something like that would be.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think too, I would want to, include Kathy
Mhm.
okay.
on the
a good
conversation
That is a
to
good
see
idea.
what she would think
What
that
did she
he
have in mind?
might want.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you wanna?
Yeah.
Touch base with
Yeah.
her? Okay. And if we do the pavers, then we don't need a concrete
Right.
pad, correct?
Right.
But does the grass grow up through the paver?
Yeah.
Don't you need something under there to keep the,
Oh, well, we would have, like George.
George would do that.
And of course, I mean, George.
And George is,
His family.
they're related.
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, the Labries and the
yeah.
Laprods.
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
I mean, I know he's busy, but I mean, this is not something that has to happen
Right.
immediately.
Right. It could be
We could
later in the
maybe-
season.
We could maybe meet out there some night with Kathy and George.
Right.
Or if anybody's out there, can kind of look and see what would be a nice spot.
It's my running route, so I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Peruse.
check
Oh,
it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
and
check
see.
it out. Yeah. See, like, if we were to put one or two benches, like, where would they be angled? Like, how, you
Yeah,
don't want to just look out at the road.
Right.
Like, how would you,
right.
how could you
What's the
make
best view?
that would not be, like, make problems with maintenance?
Right, yeah.
Who mows that grassy strip? I think, doesn't one of the neighbors
Yeah.
mow
Yeah.
that strip?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty wide. The city doesn't own all that, right? Do we own all the way to the
No,
mill?
I don't think so.
Does that person?
Yeah, I know somebody's mowed it for years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hopefully they
I see them
continue.
once in a while out there,
I
but I don't know which house they're in.
think it's like almost right across the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a house right across the street that tends to use it as parking for their guests, so it might be them.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to
That's
Kathy.
great.
Yeah, if you can, next time, if you're out there walking or if you're running or whatever. just
Yeah.
Check it out.
Not that that's the only spot, but
Yeah.
it seems like it could be.
Yeah. And I'll look for that Oxbow spot too, if we wanted to
Mm,
put one place or the other.
mm.
Okay.
All right.
So we didn't really talk about the pavement. So everybody was supposed to look at what's the worst spot on the trail. So.
I think everybody's probably gonna agree.
Okay, so what do we all think?
Behind Ed's and Community Feed.
So actually,
Just north of,
Terry had actually spray painted some white paint
okay,
on the root damage, and then she went a little even past the steps that go down to Mechanic Street as you're going toward Ferry Street, because there's one of those long cracks across. But to me, like, because there's not much root damage between the crack and the steps, that what would make sense is where the root damage really begins in earnest, which is kind of behind Ed's, all the way just past the steps. And I went out there with a metal tape measure, so it took me a while. So it's about 135 feet.
okay.
And I don't know what that would cost. I don't know what the length was over by
By the
Hillside
mills.
Park. Probably not quite that much, but
Well,
that you might be
Trueheart
able
did
to
that.
figure out an estimate based on that length.
Maybe when they're doing that, maybe they'll find my bike computer that flew off my bike. When I went out purposely to ride the length of the thing,
It came off.
Oh, I saw that.
I hit one of the bumps.
Oh,
And
and
there's this weird bump that Terry called it like a volcano. It's like this.
Well, you want to hear what happened with that? Do you know Barbara Quinn, Tom Quinn, who painted our
Yeah.
shed?
Oh.
His wife, Barbara, she came in and she said she was riding along and she hit that thing and we
Oh,
were right off the bike.
Oh, my
She said
goodness.
she was like down in a minute.
oh,
So,
Bad.
yeah, so I wrote to Greg about that too.
Okay.
He said he was gonna go out to check it, but I wrote to Terry too, and she went out and she was gonna
Yeah,
mark
so she
it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when Alexis called me this evening, she said she hit one of those sinkholes that has a circle
Yeah.
around it, and she hit one of, she wasn't looking, and she hit it, and she hit the pavement and really,
Where,
Uh,
what, do you know where it
That's
was?
down closer to the mills,
I don't
isn't it?
remember which one she said, because
There are several
there are
still.
several of them.
And is it all kind of in that area?
I don't
That's-
remember now which one where she said it was.
We
but
could
it was
ask her. if
It
she
was
can-
one that is circled.
Okay. We
And-
need
but-
to address them. They've been
Yeah.
circled for
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
and
And
we have no excuse.
my other observation when I was out specifically looking at cracks the other day was that there are a lot more cracks now that need to be sprayed.
Mm.
And I would be willing to get, to go out there with a can of white spray paint. And I mean, I think a lot of them probably have popped up since
Since we did it
somebody was
last
at
time.
last out
Yeah,
there
I
spraying.
think we
I
have
would,
some in the shed, or we did.
I would
you
be
know.
willing to go out there with the can and my
Mhm.
bike and go around and
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, there are bad cracks the entire length of the trail.
Right. And they're not necessarily that, I think the roots are more problematic because they're
Yeah.
Well, that's,
raised up.
that's
I
what
mean,
I mean.
there's some of them, I don't know did Greg do anything about the one by the bollard by Fort Hill Road?
That was one of the,
Oh, I
I
didn't
sent
see
him
that.
that and he hasn't responded.
I'm a lot more worried about the root ones because they
Yeah.
heaved
Yeah.
up. Those
You wanna
straight
do the-
across cracks.
Maybe trip over one of the bigger cracks if you're walking, then
Yeah.
it's gonna be an issue for,
It's not gonna throw
Somebody.
somebody off their bike.
Right.
but I don't think we should go and spray every crack because you'd be out.
Well, I know, but there are some bad ones that really need to be marked, and I'd be willing to do that if we have a can of paint.
Should be in the,
We should have some in the, I know Terry's, I think they're probably in the shed.
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask Terry
Yeah.
if there's some in there, if we
Okay.
need to buy more but
So do we just call Trueheart and,
no,
or do we have to go through Greg?
go through Greg?
Okay. so-
Because it doesn't, they would work with whatever company is best.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I
think we
don't
need
think we
to
should
get-
reach out directly to any paving company. That's for
Okay,
them to do.
okay. So are you gonna do that or do you want me to?
Well, we need to have them go out and take a look at it.
Okay.
To see. And I sent him those pictures of the cracks and I've told him about the bump and about the sinkholes and I haven't heard back. So
Okay.
we need to, some of them, I think he's gonna be like, okay, where is it? I'll go out and look at it. Where specifically?
Well, we can tell him. I think you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I know the ones like behind like Ed's, where Ed's.
Oh, where the the sinkholes will need to maybe, I mean, they're circled already, but we'll have to,
Yeah,
I
I can't
guess.
remember where all they are, but
Yeah.
See, the
they're
problem
scattered
is,
the
I
whole
can't
way.
just say, well, there's
Pictures of them,
sinkholes,
but,
I mean,
and then
I
have
could-
him like wandering all over.
If
He's-
I'm out there
behind the
spraying,
mills.
if I'm out there spray painting cracks, I could make a list of where the sinkholes are. It's easy
Mhm.
enough to spot them
Yep.
because they're already marked.
Yep,
Yeah,
take pictures and very specific, like there, it's like behind the mills, near INSA, you know,
Yeah.
the trail, like, right,
Yeah.
you know, like that.
Yeah,
I mean, the
he-
best thing to do would be to, they have a golf cart or something, is just ride with him and so he can see them and they can mark them. However they mark them. I don't know.
I mean, some of these things, they may be able to go out and patch and do stuff
Right.
themselves. I mean, some of the cracks, maybe they could fill
Well,
it.
there's, yeah, I
with-
was looking at that. I followed that link to the,
Crack filler.
yeah, they talk about sealant that, you know, you can use for a lot of these rather, so you don't have to do repaving.
right, the ones that aren't buckled up.
Let's call Crack Man.
Yeah.
We just used Crack Man our whole street. Everybody got their driveway done
Oh,
at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Sealed and,
yeah,
I don't know.
Ah.
That's what they do.
wow.
But we need to do something before,
Yeah.
if somebody, obviously somebody's already been hurt.
Yeah,
And
more than one of them.
more than, so that's not good.
I'll, you know, when I send them these emails and they're like, all this stuff, and then I see them in the hallway and I'm almost like, you know, but
Does he have an assistant?
I mean, there's other people that, he's I mean, there's other people that work in DPW.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have an assistant.
Like an assistant
No.
director?
No. I just, with all the road work that's been going on around town, and
Yeah.
there's just, it's just a lot.
A lot. No, I know
for,
it's a
like,
lot going
kind
on.
of to continually bother one person.
Well, I mean, in the past, we have hired paving companies to come and do it. So if, I mean, is there any reason why we?
I've gotta
bypass
just do it. I just gotta like write them all down and catch them in the
Tell them that
hallway.
people have fallen off their bike, they're
Yeah,
getting
I
hurt.
did.
and we need
I
to-
already told him that. Yeah. I've sent him pictures. I mean, but he's been out,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And he said he had like 147. Yeah, a
I'm
lot.
sure
So
he did. I'm sure.
I saw him today and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna at least wait till the meeting and then I'm gonna, you know, figure out what I need to go after him. The most important thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put something on my calendar to remind you.
No, I'll try to do it. I'll try to do it tomorrow
Because-
morning, so I don't do it. And then I've got to catch him and.
And probably at some future point in terms of an area of root damage, there's a smaller section, behind the Ferry Street complex where the fencing starts as it
That's what I've
curves.
got written down, and there's a sinkhole over there too. I wrote down several areas that are problematic, but the behind Ed's is the worst.
Yeah,
We have to pick one to hit first.
And that has sinkholes, roots and holes.
lions
Yeah.
and tigers and bears.
Yeah,
It has-
And it being the main connector between Union Street and the
yeah,
mills, it's
one of
probably all,
those, that's probably the heaviest, one of
Heaviest
the
traffic.
heaviest
Right.
places. And it's dark because it's in the deep shade with the
Mhm.
trees, so you don't necessarily see.
Oh,
What it is.
not the root section now, because the, all
It's
that
all
got
cut.
cut.
Oh, okay, but part of that, where, you know, where those, so,
Mhm.
part of that section still has trees over it.
Yeah.
And there's new routes now coming up through some of the newer sections,
Okay.
South Street to Coleman.
Yeah, that's one that I've got written down here. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, some of these cracks have appeared recently.
Yes,
And we haven't had a chance to mark them yet.
Right.
So all the more reason to get out there and mark them.
I mean, I can just tell Terry to go out and do
Okay.
some marking too.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
true.
She's out
But
there
she's-
anyway.
She's out there. I haven't heard too much from her lately, but there was graffiti on the red bollard right there at South Street. heading towards Colin, so she,
Really?
yeah, so she cleaned that up. And then I asked her to do that, to see if she could, and she apparently did. I need to order some more Lexan so we can get those graffiti signs, take the Lexan
Oh,
off, and
right.
put new ones on. That's another thing I need to do.
Well, why don't you maybe somebody else could do that, so it's not all on your plate, Barb.
Well, that, I have it. I have the sheet.
Oh, you
that,
have
I have the thing that Peter ordered.
Oh, I
from,
see,
and then,
okay.
Greg said, this is Flynnmar over in Holyoke, that they have an account and they can order it.
Oh, I see.
So I just
Okay.
need to like get that. That's another thing I can add to my list. Because I have, it's sitting right on my desk. I saw it today.
Okay,
Because Peter, before he got really the last stage, he told me where he got it. And I was able to find it and it had everything right on there. So
Okay.
they really could just do the very same thing that he did before.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Speaking of behind eds, any resolution that we know of to,
I haven't heard anything. That's another thing. The police department should be the one to ask about
Yeah.
that.
I thought the last I heard it got referred to the DA or something.
If they're
It's
charged.
going through the courts or something. And what's happening, is that business closed right behind Williston? Where the kids, students cut up through to go to the
Oh.
athletic fields? Yeah, because all the windows, they're usually open and there's music playing and they've repainted the whole side of the building. And those windows are closed. And didn't I hear that plan to have the little offshoot of the trail got ixnayed? So is that being sold, or what's the reason for that being?
I don't know. I think it was, I can't remember why that was pulled back. I think it just wasn't ready yet. I didn't hear that it was because it was being sold.
Okay, I just
But that
wondered if
was
there was some
a while.
change going on that was
Yeah, but it looks
affecting.
quiet now.
It did, and it could have been they were on summer vacation. They closed the
But they
shop
did
first.
because there was some graffiti on the back of that.
There had been,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was another area that I had written down in my notes, was the area behind the Williston ball fields and the ice rink. That stretch has a lot of crap,
It does,
tons,
and some of
it's
them are
very
high.
and it's shady under there. It's hard to see.
It's hard to see them, yeah.
I did look
That would
down
be my number
from
two.
Park Street onto the trail by Williston. It looks like they've gotten in there and done a lot of cutting back. I don't know if it was Williston.
I
Did you
noticed
notice
that too. It seemed like there was less foliage.
Yeah, it
kinda
looked like
hanging
it was
down.
really like there by, I don't know if it was mostly by the rink or something, but it looked good. It looked
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I don't know who did that.
I don't think it was the city that did that. Now, pretty soon, we're gonna have to tell them that it's time to start thinking about, in another month or so, trail side trimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do that when they can. It's
Yeah.
raining. Okay. All right, so we have our, it seems like a lot. Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing.
All right,
Not, it's not to add anything else, but a couple of the railings that on the section that parallels Love Street, there's nails that are sticking straight up.
Right.
The section of the trail that parallels Love Field. There's those on a run.
Is it,
something that they could be just hammered.
is it
down.
near the split? Oh boy.
I wonder if you could just take a hammer and just.
Can you just
bang
whack
those.
them down?
Probably a lot of them.
They're not gonna stay.
There's a couple of boards that's warped up so
Yeah.
much that the point of the nail is also out. Most of them, I think you could just. couple
I
good
think
whacks.
Peter was screwing them in because that was the only way to hold it down. But if it's that warped, I don't know how you're gonna get it down.
I wonder,
And there's a damaged piece of fence. Where was it? Near South Street somewhere.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. I noticed it and then I couldn't remember where it was.
Yeah, I
wasn't
should
gonna
have
bring it
taken,
up.
I should have taken
I
a
can't remember
picture.
either.
It was,
It's like a whole broken board.
yeah, Yeah, somebody smashed into it.
I noticed those nails. There's the railing that's right past the bridge as you're going towards Northampton, and then there's another railing with more nails sticking up further down Lovefield heading towards Northampton.
Is it before, is it like, the little pumping station thing? Is it?
You think you're talking past that, like, as you're going to where you might turn off for Arcadia, right?
Right.
I know, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
The wooden fencing there.
Yeah. There's pictures from the fencing that's on like the part that goes uphill
Yeah,
right after you cross, and then there's also the fencing a little
Okay.
further down. Both of them have nails sticking in.
yeah, those fences were the bane of Peter's existence.
I can go take a look at that, just walk down there with a hammer, and if I can either remove the nails or,
Yeah,
Like bend them
Come
over
through.
even, like just, yeah.
just so somebody doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I was afraid someone would have like, have a hand sticking out or
Right.
something.
Oh, yeah, on a bike.
Yeah.
Yep, the trail is getting older and it needs
Yes.
a lot of
So are we.
attention. And, yeah, maybe we also need to, and I don't know if it wouldn't be the Friends, but we need to maybe recruit some more members too.
I was wondering
This
whether,
committee, we have open slots, right?
I'd be interested in, like, if we wanted to have like a table at the Mill Pond Live concert or something. Also be a way to elicit donations and, but if people are interested in sort of, just to sort of sell ourselves a
Right,
little bit.
right, have
And, it's right by the trail, so I mean, it would just seem like a,
Right. I think that would be,
who would want to talk to about, like, doing something
Like what
at
concert?
that.
What do you mean, like at the Park and Rec concerts? Or do you mean at the
No, I'm talking about
concerts
like
in
the
the
Mill Pond
fall?
Live
The
concerts.
ones in the,
who
or in
who's-
September?
who organizes those? Do you know who's in charge of those? Is that a private
Yeah, this
producer
year
or-
they've got some big concert planned.
Oh, the River Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a ticket for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Expensive.
pretty big.
I know,
Mhm.
it's 10 hours long.
Oh, wow.
More of a festival than a concert.
Yeah.
Well, there's the
They've got
Arcadia
some big
Folk Festival in
names.
George
September.
Williams, yeah, the Neils,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
That's like September 9th or 8th or
I don't
something.
Yeah,
remember,
something
sometime
in there.
in September.
I think we want to
Lisa
pick
Loeb's
the event, because some events, people might not be interested in stopping by a booth like that, but some, if it's a more community event.
You could look
I don't
into
know.
a table at Easthampton Farmers Market too.
That's
Oh,
a good
that's a
idea.
good
It's
idea.
an idea too.
Yeah, they've often got community groups. with
Do
the
they?
table there.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have to pay?
That's what I don't know. I don't know if there's a food.
I don't think we would. I think I've seen,
I wouldn't think
there was
so.
a
The
point,
Board of
like
Health
Jeff was out there one time for something or other, and, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that might even be easier than,
You'll be quiet. You'd actually be able to talk.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Do you want to be in charge of that?
Sure. Can email the,
Find out what the schools
Yeah.
are.
I don't know who's in charge of the farmer's market.
there's a woman named Jen who's the market manager. She's the owner of Flora and Fauna Farm, I think.
Oh,
Either way, I can probably just message their Facebook page.
yeah,
She'll see it.
or just go to the market and she's probably there.
Oh, guaranteed she's there.
Yeah.
I don't think they would charge anything. I mean, like, they might charge the vendors, but like, I think Easthampton Community Center has had a table out there in the past, and
Yeah.
I doubt they're like twisting their arm for $50 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think if we wanted to do it, just, making sure they have space and
Mhm.
coordinates with everything else.
Yeah, it might be a thing where it's if there's a week where a vendor pulls out, okay, here's their spot type thing. But I don't know, I'll ask. I don't really.
Can't hurt to ask. One other question unrelated to that. I was thinking, should we put something on Facebook? Like a goodbye to Peter, one of our I mean, he wasn't officially, he was a unofficial committee member, right? So
Right, he was never,
he was
but
never
he's in the
official.
Friends.
He was in the Friends.
I mean,
He was a
Yeah.
volunteer extraordinaire.
Yeah.
What do you think that
oh,
would
I think
be
that would be,
That's a good idea.
tasteful to
Do we have
just
any-
to say?
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing something on, was it Craig Della Penna? Somebody passed away that was involved with his project of
Mm.
getting the rail trail all the way to Boston.
Mm,
And he put something on,
Yeah. I
think
and
that would
I
be
thought
nice.
that
do
might
we
be
have
nice.
some,
yeah.
do you have any pictures? You have all sorts of
I
pictures.
do have, I have that one of him in the lounge chair, which is my favorite picture of him, but I'll try
I
to
mean, do we
find
have any
something
from
more
like fall
appropriate.
festivals or?
I'll-
You have
I'll
all
have-
sorts of pictures.
I'll have to see what I have.
You can post on Facebook, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, no,
I think that'd be nice.
even though it's a couple weeks now, but
I'm still so glad that we went when we did.
yes.
Because I think he
Mhm.
went downhill really fast after that.
Yeah.
From what I heard.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
next. meeting.
Okay, next meeting. August. First, we should go back to Monday. John was like, what are we doing meeting on Tuesday?
Yeah, Mondays would be,
Whatever, anybody got vacation that they're not gonna be around for? I'm away the last week in August and 7th, but so 14th or 21st is, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I can't do the 7th, but anything else is fine.
we might be going, believe it or not, to Florida for a week. I know, who goes to Florida? But to visit Andrea, but, if I'm down there, I can just zoom in.
Yeah, do you have a preference on the day? Cause it doesn't matter.
We haven't even looked at the calendar, so, I mean, if you want to do it on 21st, I'll just, even if I'm there, I can
All right, let's do.
join you virtually.
Okay, let's do.
That seems to be the best for everybody.
August 21st.
Okay. All right. All right, August 21st. Anything else?
Summer's flying by.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
Ooh, we adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.